Hi everyone, this is the Short Story Ears. We are in Cannes, and today we're here with wonderful Cathy Boxall and Geneva Wasserman from Dentsu Entertainment. Well, that sounds lovely. Hi, how's your Cannes experience so far?
Blown away, amazing, okay. Absolutely beautiful, and Dentsu Beach is the place to be, and I'm so proud to be a part of Dentsu.
Please. Right. Lovely. Tell me, please, first things first, Dentsu Entertainment. What does it do exactly?
Well, we're a specialised practice area within Dentsu. We are quite unique, I think, as a team. So everybody, and we'll talk a bit about Geneva's background and where she comes from, but everybody within the Dentsu entertainment team is an entertainment specialist and comes from an entertainment background and an entertainment business. So everybody is from studios, from production backgrounds. We have people specialising in partnerships, in original content creation, in distribution of content. So I think that's something that's quite unusual in an agency group, and it's something that's really great for clients because they then get to access all of this fantastic expertise and contacts between our team in London and our team in LA.
So it's like a one-stop shop for major content forms, right?
It is, and essentially it's a consultancy. It's a consultancy group of entertainment experts who are here to help clients navigate through entertainment. Because I think there's quite a perception that entertainment is complicated and it's expensive and it's hard to access. And actually, it can be all of those things, but if you have an expert who understands the business, like Geneva or like the team back in London and in LA, we can help to navigate that and to get the rights you need, to get the access to the people you need, to get everything that you need to make your project a success.
Geneva, now I am intrigued. What's your background?
Well, I have 26 years in entertainment, starting as an entertainment licensing attorney, working in intellectual property. And then I transitioned into a more creative role about 12 years ago, working for companies like Universal, Condé Nast Entertainment, running original content and development. So over a very long period of time, I've focused in pretty much all areas of entertainment, from original production, development, which is on the creative side, as well as path to production, which would be on the finance and business side. So it's making me feel quite old.
It's expertise. It's expertise and experience.
Indeed, yeah. It's expertise.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's a good way to put it. But really, I love this business. I've seen it transform over the past 26 years. And it's the most exciting time right now, I think, for brands especially. We're at this interesting point where, we went through this streaming phase, which was quite exclusionary. And now what we're seeing is opportunities for brands on all platforms, whether or not they have an ad tier, AVOD, or fast entry point. We're finding different ways to bring brands into the conversation through entertainment. And that's, film, television, short form digital. And we have a lot of crossovers with our partners in Dentsu Gaming and other parts of the business. So it's really when you say one-stop shop, I think that's the perfect description. Yeah, well done. Good job.
Oh my God. So when we are saying that we're working with the brands, and right now it's like this extremely exciting time to work with brands and content production on a big scale, right? So how to make sure that brands actually understand this heaps of opportunities that they have with this content production?
I think it's interesting. I did a panel yesterday and a couple of people came up to talk to me afterwards. And I think the easiest way to describe it is it's a spectrum. There's so many entry points for brands, as Geneva was saying, across all the different entertainment genres. And it can be very late in the process. You can come in, you can sponsor, you can be product placed within content. But one of the things that we're finding a lot of brands are more interested in now is moving kind of up, we call it like up the supply chain of entertainment. So starting to work with the production, with the creators, with the talent, to start to shape the stories together, to even create their own stories from scratch and create like ownable intellectual properties, which is very valuable to many brands. And we're going to talk later today with P&G and with the lead of P&G Studios. But that's something they feel very passionately about, is not only being involved in the creative process and creating something ownable from scratch, but also being able to participate in that intellectual property and create a revenue stream from it. Like it truly is valuable. You know, if you're there at the beginning, you should be able to participate in the end product.
Absolutely. Well, I'd love to add to that because I think Procter & Gamble is a great example. Procter & Gamble Studios is a proper development entity that focuses on creating and partnering to create intellectual property, to create ownable moments, but to create stories that are organic for their audiences, that help them enter conversations and control the messaging without being advertising. And so I think that's really unique. We're seeing it happen with other brands, but the idea that you can go backwards to go forward. And what I mean by that is Hollywood started in radio. Procter & Gamble created soap operas to help connect and create conversations around their different soaps, right? Palmolive, and I can't remember all of the brands, but I know it was absolutely in that way. And then they transitioned into television. And when you think about television is made possible for most of the existence of television via advertising. That's how it's funded. And yet brands have always been siloed and not involved in the creative process and not involved in the economic upside of entertainment. And so that's why I was saying this is such an exciting time to have brands actually have ownable IP, to create entertainment first content that is like affinity marketing. It's creating a valuable relationship and offering to their audiences, to their customers, and then the ability to amplify that content through traditional marketing and advertising is a really beautiful place for a brand to be. And I think that the window is so wide open. I would say it's even a door. The door is open.
The door is open.
Oh.
But I think you should speak a bit more to that though, because it's a really interesting time for brands who want to do this. And I was saying up front, you know, a lot of brands have a perception that this is a difficult space to enter into. And, you know, it can be complex, but it's certainly not difficult. And the way the industry has changed, even over the last couple of years, we are definitely seeing more and more platforms, more and more creators opening up these spaces to brands and actively looking to work with brand partners in this way. I mean, you can speak to that more.
No, absolutely. I mean, I think it's new in some ways, in other ways it's not, right? I love that Quaker Oats, and I think it was 1973. The original was it Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory?
Yes, yeah.
Fully financed by Quaker Oats. So it's not new, but the opportunity has changed, and I think the audiences, right? We have more channels than we've ever had. We have more content than we could ever possibly watch in our lifetimes. And so, how do you create moments and messaging that connect, right? That reach, and how do you impact culture through content? And so that's why I think, you know, because we have so many different mediums to communicate with, podcasts, right? That's something that we do as well.
Yeah.
And there are different price points and entry points for brands to create stories or engage in stories and connect to stories. So, you know, this idea that, well, that's really expensive or difficult or takes a long time, it depends on what genre and medium and audience you're trying to engage with. So, you know, we have some examples. We can go into that maybe a little bit of some of our projects that we're excited about, where we have ownable and owned IP. We're engaging with existing established IP. And each of these, I would say, projects that we're working with have different entry points, right? So within that supply chain that Cathy mentioned, where are you developing it from scratch? That actually is not very expensive. People think, oh my gosh, that's such a big undertaking. But development is really a beautiful stage to enter in that supply chain for brands, because it allows them to really explore what topics they want to cover, what messaging they want to present to the world, and the really focus exactly on who they're speaking to. Mm-hmm. At the same time, as Cathy mentioned, you know, further down the supply chain, there's still opportunities. Yep. They just have different, you know, returns on investment, right? Whether that's financial, whether that's, you know, sales lift, purchase intent. So that's, you know, for us, it's it's wide open, and it's always bespoke to the client. You know, there's no one way to do this, but we have many examples of ways that we could talk about.
We do. And actually, we talked about it yesterday. We did a panel with JG and the iProspect team talking about content and commerce and how those two areas, because again, I think a lot of brands and clients would look at entertainment as something that's purely about marketing and driving brand awareness and brand uplift, which it does, and it's great at.
But that's just one piece.
But it's just one bit, and you know, you can leverage it, as Geneva said. You know, if you look at it as something that you can leverage across the ecosystem, there's actually huge sales driving potential, and you can really use entertainment to address some of your quite core business challenges. And we've made a show with Amazon Prime, I mean, a few years ago for ABI, which was addressing a category challenge. I mean, they were feeling under pressure from craft beer. They wanted to address this perception that they felt that was out there, that a commercial lager didn't have much craft going into the production of it. Okay. So we created a show that was all about where you had to create a commercial lager and then sell it through Amazon. And then having done that, there was obviously a direct sales mechanic there because they created a product. Yeah. We also did a show for Birra Moretti, which I talked a little bit about yesterday, which was, it had a direct sales from Amazon. Again, it was running on Amazon Prime. There was a direct sales mechanic. They had a 78% uplift in sales off the platform. Purely, there was no direct sales mechanic. It was literally just the product was there and people bought it. Yeah. So it's not, I think the point is, it's just not about pure marketing and brand awareness. It can address business challenges too.
Right. So here's a question. Obviously, we're really good with content distribution, right? So we are on top of that marketing challenge, how to distribute the message and everything, you know, like drive sales and all of that. Let's talk about content creation for a second, right? So if we are driving brands into this universe of marvelous content things that we can actually produce, podcasts, shows, bigger things, how do we make sure that it's actually authentic and the story is non-advertorial, but it's quite original, so that people, the audience, would sort of engage with that in a completely different way?
I mean, that is our whole ethos. And like, you know, Geneva was mentioning talking to platforms and the different kinds of platforms that we work with, like the Netflixes and the Amazons. To do those kind of projects, you have to be entertainment first. Everything has to be audience first, entertainment led. Otherwise, they will not engage with you. That was why we were able to do what we did with Amazon Prime, because they understood that we were coming at this from an entertainment led perspective. I mean, you can talk about your process and how you do that.
Yeah. So every project that we work on, we look at it through the lens of, is this content that without a brand stands on its own? Yeah. Is it relevant? Is it engaging? Is it necessary? Right? Yeah. Does it need to be told? And which form is it best told in? Because not every story is created for television. Sometimes it's created for digital, or it's created for other mediums. So as Cathy mentioned in the beginning, our entire team comes from studios, production companies, traditional Hollywood, where traditionally the process was very siloed, right? So commissioners, programmers, they lived in one lane, and the advertising and sales were completely separated. And not until it was about to air and reach distribution did the two connect. That's changing now. It's changing with all of the platforms and partners. And we, being inside of an incredible network of marketers and advertisers, we're constantly having this conversation. So we lead with entertainment and story, but in collaboration with the experts, right, in all of the other practice areas. And we also think about every piece of content and what's its best form. Is this a franchise? Can we start a podcast that becomes a TV show that becomes a video game, or can live inside of Roblox? If it's, something that relates to, for example, Gen Z who love Roblox, we have so many specialists within the organization that as we're developing content, we're very intentional about what it can be and should be. So I don't know if that answers.
No, I think that's fantastic.
I kind of went a little right.
Yeah, it's great. And it's new areas as well. I mean, I think one of the projects I'd love to highlight is Azuki and the work we've done there, talking about these completely sort of new areas of content that are pretty much unexplored by most of our clients currently.
Absolutely. I mean, Azuki is an incredible, it's a very new company. I think a couple of years old. It's an NFT. It started with profile pictures, anime inspired, manga inspired, and our team in Japan, so Dentsu Entertainment, between London and Los Angeles, collaborated very closely with our partners at in Japan at Dentsu Content Business Design and Anime Group, where we were the production company, oversaw as executive producers on a series of TV shows, taking Azuki characters and lore, because there's an entire community there, and translating that into anime. So taking a very new technology, in which is above my head in some ways because it's very new, and then translating that into a very traditional art form of anime in the most pure way with the top auspices, the best directors, artists, writers, voice talent, very premium IP.
Yep.
And then translating that back into NFTs for commerce opportunities. So our partners at Azuki, Cherry Labs, are becoming a media company. They are, transforming their business. So this is a business transformation exercise for them as well, from being in blockchain IP creation and storytelling, but also moving into traditional television and film.
Yep.
And we'll have a lot more announcements that we're very excited about within that ecosystem. But the case studies on that are just coming out, and they're really phenomenal. There's an economic lift that they have just from the trailer that we released on the first episode, and the first episode, which was released about a month ago.
And it is also a fantastic opportunity for Dentsu clients.
Oh,
so,
amazing.
we're creating all this IP. And I don't know, again, you might have seen, but there was an announcement a couple of weeks ago that Dentsu is now an investor in the Angry Birds 3 movie, which again
Gosh, I love that intro video that we did.
Oh, it's amazing. It's so
It's
exciting.
my favorite Angry Bird, first of all.
It's so
Already?
beloved. It's such beloved IP. Everybody knows it, and that's one of the reasons we wanted to be a part of this film, because we all love it, but also because it creates these amazing opportunities for clients. Like, we can exclusively offer that Angry Birds 3 to Dentsu clients. Like, for the whole of this year, that's an exclusive opportunity. Azuki is an opportunity for Dentsu clients. It's really exciting.
So we already have things that people might just plug into, right?
Absolutely. Very easy to do. Come to us.
We have a massive slate. And what is exciting, and I love that you mentioned that, because we cannot overstate how exciting it is to have a property like Angry Birds, which started as a video game, a mobile game, and is still one of the top performing mobile games, translated into film. It's now the third film. It's amazing. They've got a television series. This is such an incredible case study, I think, in general. But Dentsu clients will have the opportunity for promotion, loyalty, integration.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how fun would that be to have your brand inside of an Angry Birds movie? And because, again, we are from Hollywood, understand storytelling, we work very closely with the lead producers to make sure it's organic and authentic and not something that feels outside of the story. And we feel like that, to us, is exactly what Dentsu Entertainment is here to do, is to provide opportunities on a large scale, make it very easy, very affordable, and very early. The Angry Birds is just now in production. It's slated to release in a couple of years, with a lot of fun opportunities on the road to release. So it's just, I think it's the perfect use case. And Azuki, constantly bringing out new episodes. We've got short form, longer form, and potentially even longer form. So those are just two of many on our slate that we would love to talk to clients about.
And that's our message, really. We have, with Geneva, with her team in Los Angeles, with the team in London, there's so much opportunity. There's a property or an opportunity for any client. And I keep saying this, but the door is open, really. Like, just come and ask us. The door is open. Come and ask us. We can make it happen. If it's a partnership, if it's a piece of original content, if it's an investment opportunity, we can make it happen. That's our message.
Like it's like a journey for a client, right? So a client might define a challenge, and we'll come up with a lot of ideas around that.
Exactly.
Content-wise, which I really love, because we're talking about authenticity and all the things. Okay, the question here, which I can't really avoid, is AI.
Yeah,
it's here. It has arrived. We are hearing a lot of stories around the use of AI. So yesterday, one of the things that really impressed me, will.i.am was just down there in one of the beach houses, and he was talking about AI impacting the way creators create and the way consumers consume the media. So one of the examples was like, okay, we're watching a Batman movie, right? It's very Batman centric. So imagine if you could pause for a second and watch a scene where Batman, I don't know, is saving the town from explosion or something. And there you have Batman, and obviously we're watching his version of the story. And in the background, there are some random people, I don't know, a clerk, a driver, this and that. So what if we could, with the help of AI, of course, change the perspective and then start a movie about that driver's life? And then like a new movie starts. And then within that movie, we could actually choose another person and to see something from that perspective. And that creates this infinite amount of movies we could actually generate with AI. And, you know, that's tons of content, which means potentially tons of integration opportunities for the clients and all of that. So what's your take on this? And where are we on this AI journey?
I have a lot to say on
Oh,
this.
yeah.
So,
Nice.
so generative AI is very exciting. And I think that we're seeing text to video, we're seeing voice to video, voice to text, we're seeing all different types of automations. What you're speaking of is branch narrative. Branch narrative is something that we absolutely love. It's that idea of choose your own adventure, building into franchise, because, you know, the focus that we have in a lot of our discussions and how we approach things is how can we build a world, right? And not just tell one story, but how do we build a world that can expand based on the interests of our audience, the interests of our partners? And branch narrative leads also to shoppable content, which is also very exciting. So in your example, I'm trying to think of what kind of Batman item, but you know, perhaps it's even a car, and Batman's driving a cool car, and that car it could be, you know, in partnership with one of our clients, becoming a shoppable moment. And so I think it's very exciting. Now, I'm an intellectual property attorney by background and training, and one thing that is concerning to the industry, to Hollywood in general, is will AI take our jobs? And my answer to that is, you know, AI is a tool, just like everything in my lifetime has been a tool. When I started, I'm so old. When I started, for example,
It's expertise.
It's expertise. It's good to refinement.
It's expertise.
Wine gets better in time. You know, we didn't have the tools that we have just in our everyday lives that we take for granted now. I didn't have cell phones, right, in the 90s. We didn't have. I used a word processor, which was basically just a glorified typewriter.
Stop there, Geneva.
But I'm making a point. I'm getting to a point. And the point is, okay, you can edit this out later, but I do want to make the point is that, you know, we didn't have the word processing tools, right? That we have now. It's unbelievable. We take it for granted, right? Autocorrect and these things. We work with it and toward it. What will never change is that copyright laws require a human in creation in order to control the copyright. And copyright is the value, right? We work in the business of intellectual property. And that is, for example, copyright on images and text and, you know, scripts. So if a machine writes a script, it's very cool and it can get out there, but nobody owns it, right? That's what the copyright law says. Somebody, a human, has to be involved in that creation. So what I think will happen in the industry, just to address some of the, I would say, concerns that we're seeing. We had an entire writer's strike last summer, which shut down Hollywood. And the key issue was AI. You know, it was making sure that the WGA was very concerned about, it was also deep fakes and, you know, visual AI, you know, replacing actors and voice. These are serious concerns. At the same time, we see, and I particularly see AI as a good thing that you cannot stop anyway. But you wouldn't want to, because it's just helping us get to the next level of storytelling. And it creates massive opportunities for brands. I mean, incredible opportunities for brands to integrate more effectively and efficiently. I think time to market will be reduced significantly, particularly in the areas of animation, but also in editing and post-production. And again, all of that still requires, you know, human involvement in order, and should. But to me, AI, in all of its forms and the creativity that it enables, such as branch narratives, right? Choose your own adventures. And I think like quick edits, real-time edit, right? So the opportunity to switch out something. We were talking the other day about a project where let's just say it's Batman, because you mentioned it. Let's say Batman is making a burrito in a microwave, but we want that to be Totino's pizza rolls.
Cool.
So
Right.
you can switch it out in real time.
Authentic.
You can switch it out in real
Right.
time, right?
Okay.
Whatever it is that you're doing, depending on the medium, but particularly in animation using, game engines, right? So gaming engines, what I love about it is you're using the same technology for creating gaming environments as you are in narrative storytelling. And there's so much crossover there. So I see a lot of opportunity to gamify content with AI, make it really engaging, particularly for Gen Z and Gen Alpha audiences who love gaming. It's their number one choice. To make it social in social environments. I love that. Social mobile, and to make it shoppable. This idea of commerce within content, and how you engage based on your audience. Younger audiences love interactivity. They don't sit back and just watch the way that older generations have. And so AI is allowing the opportunity to make it much stickier and very engaging and interactive, and provide a lot of data back to the brand on their audience.
So, I think yesterday in the panel you mentioned that the most engaged fandoms are in gaming and entertainment.
Yeah,
That's right.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, again, taking it back to Azuki and the anime audience, that was the great stat that it was in the US, 25% of Gen Zs are engaging weekly, I think it was, with the NFL, and it's 41% for anime.
Yeah,
content.
anime and manga
Huge.
combined 46%.
It's amazing.
So we, as a Japanese, our roots are in Japan. We have a deep well of expertise within manga and anime. Very connected, dentsu, over the past 60 years of anime's existence. And so that's an area of specialty that our team is very engaged with. So we feel like we with entertainment, you're really starting conversations and you're opening up engagement, and in all of its forms. And all of these things are entertainment. So entertainment as a blanket term also includes other divisions of dentsu, such as gaming, right? So gaming is entertainment, sports is entertainment.
Okay.
And so there's so much crossover. And what's really fun about my job is that we get to collaborate across divisions, and we're working with everyone, in the network based on what their interests are, what problems they're looking to solve for, and what their goals and objectives are for success. So, I think AI is going to bring us things we have no idea, right? We don't know what it will bring us, but what we're seeing right now are those really engaging pieces of content that are just starting to, go to market.
Yeah. Do you think with AI though, we're going to be looking at creating tons of content choices for people? Yes, so it's going to be more divergent. Or we'll sort of get into this convergent phase where we're creating something very, very bespoke for a particular person.
I think we might have different opinions on this. I think it's going to lead. Yeah.
Yes.
Bring it on. My sense of it is it's going to create a more bespoke experience that it will be customizable, which we have never had before.
Okay.
And it's fun to think about, well, what does that mean for a movie theater? Does the movie theater change, or is it the same? And what about community viewing? Right. What we're finding with Gen Z is that they'll go to the movies, and it's not bespoke and it's not, gamified necessarily yet because of just the forum. But it's that community, it's an event, right? So they feel like they're going to a live event, even though it's a filmed, piece of content. But we're doing that in other platforms. So inside of Roblox, we might create, content that suggests, that this is an event and you should dress up to go see this movie together, or this is how you're watching it. And we've seen that with Five Nights at Freddy's. We've seen that with a lot of content that dentsu has been involved with. Yep. But I think that on the mobile platforms and on the sort of single viewer environments, it's going to become bespoke. I don't know if you have a different opinion.
No, I think I agree completely. I do think it's interesting.
I was looking for controversy.
Sorry. But different platforms is interesting as well, because you look at things like Netflix, where they've got these huge, big properties like the Bridgertons or Stranger Things. Yep. But then we talk to platforms like Snap or TikTok, particularly, where you would think, oh, there's a conflict there between, you know, these much more short form or these longer form series, but actually they live beautifully together. And if you're a fan of Bridgerton on Netflix, you can just extend that universe by spending time on TikTok, consuming all that content. I have somehow consumed the entire 3 seasons of Bridgerton without ever watching it. I've never watched it on Netflix, but I know everything about it. It's all over TikTok. So yeah, I think it's really interesting how there's this huge variety of platforms, but actually the IP, back to your original point, if the intellectual property, the talent, the creativity behind it is strong enough, it has a life across so many different areas and platforms and products. It's so exciting. And again, it's a massive opportunity for brands. You can come in at any point in that spectrum. It's great.
I need to watch Bridgerton now.
Really
well,
need to
actually,
watch.
Don't
Watch on TikTok.
right?
No, but here's the thing: you can watch it on Netflix,
Yeah.
and then you can engage on TikTok and other platforms. And I love that you brought this up, because something that I've been thinking a lot about is, you know, when brands are communicating with their audiences through entertainment and through storytelling, the idea that they're stretching the story. It's a story stretch. They're involved in it. They're not attaching themselves to a story or an IP. They're part of it, and it's the opportunity to extend it to other platforms, which will have more reach, right? So it's like you look at the reach of each of these platforms and they're, you know, who's subscribed or who's tuning in. But if you can be everywhere with a piece of IP authentically and organically, you can extend that story in a way that consumers will appreciate and they will become loyal to, right? It's that idea that, you know,
feeding the fandoms.
You are helping me in this fandom.
Yeah, and that's like the ultimate
to extend.
purpose, right?
Yeah, absolutely right.
Customers.
Absolutely right.
Final question. When we sit down together in Cannes next year, same place, it's going to be your second Cannes, Geneva.
I can't wait.
Right. So what is the most desirable change that you want to see after 1 year?
Oh, wow. That's a interesting
Wow,
question. Only one thing.
Yes, only one thing.
Okay. And related to our jobs.
Okay, it could be anything at this point.
Well, because I live in the United States of America and we've got a crazy election coming up.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be political.
Okay.
No, you can edit that. No, I would say that that brands become part of the entertainment ecosystem. They become producers. They become financiers if they wish to be.
Yeah.
And it's not a separation, right? That we bring down the walls and that it's not siloed between ad sales and marketing and programming, that it's storytelling, right? And so for me, we're still kind of, I think, having to educate and communicate what we do and how we do it. And we're building case studies, and that's the best way to show and not tell, is just show what we're doing. But I think a year from now, what I would love to see is that the projects that we're showing here at Cannes Lion are also at Tribeca. They're at Cannes Film Festival.
Yeah.
They're, you know, I would like to see our content appear at Venice Film Festival, at Toronto, at Series Fest, the television festival. I think that the walls and the lines are we used to say that they're blurring, but now I just think they're coming down.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'd like to see it, you know, I would like to see everyone view brands as the storytellers that they are and they've always been, and give them a seat at the table, right? And that includes, you know, financially, narratively, and so that's for me.
It's amazing. That's everything. I would say my only last thought, what I would really love to see this time next year is our dentsu clients right at the centre of Angry Birds 3.
Yes.
That's what I want to see.
All fingers crossed for that. Okay. Thank you guys for this super inspiring conversation, and have some fabulous time in Cannes.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having us.
Ta-da.
Thank you.